Hi, my name is Alan, and I'm making a roguelike deck builder game like Monster Train combined with a turn-based tactic RPG game like Final Fantasy Tactics. Would the two mixed together create something fun, or will the amalgamation be some horrific unplayable mess? In today's devlog, I'll be first talking about my initial design decision when making my game. Then later on, I'll talk about how the game actually plays, its current development state, and where it's heading. There will be timestamp in case you want to skip ahead. This is going to be a long devlog, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. This is Project Deck Tactics, a game I'm making with the Godot game engine looking to answer the question of what a turn-based tactic RPG roguelike deck builder would look like. The project started on the 17th March 2022 with the completion of the game design document, but the initial idea first sprung up sometime around May 2021 after my first successful run in Monster Train. I thought to myself, man, roguelike deck builders are kind of awesome. Then I wondered if I could make my own deck builder. Of course, I didn't just want to rip off Monster Train, the source of my inspiration, so I thought about what I could add to the game to hopefully make it more interesting and new. The first thing that came to my mind at the time was how static the units were in Monster Train. Of course, Monster Train being a combination of a tower defense game and a roguelike deck builder, I believe that was an intended design. The units are the static towers in a tower defense game. So, what if instead of a tower defense game, you control the units like, say, in a tactics game? Before I start prototyping, I first tried to look for games that have a similar premise to my idea. This is a list of games that I have stumbled upon throughout my planning and designing phase. A Token War, Duelist, Floppy Knight, Children of Zodiac, Grand Guild, Spelldrifter, Spacewolf, Zold Out, Oaken, Cardlock, Lost in Phantaland, Summoner's Fate, Sigil of Magi, and Ancestry. All of them were great sources of reference, but Ancestry is probably the most interesting game of the bunch. It's the most similar to deck tactics, though it's more centered around being multiplayer, might be inspired by Hearthstone instead of Monster Train, and is not a roguelike. Watching its gameplay gave me a lot of insight into how to design deck tactic. So after looking at all of these games, I saw that the idea was somewhat viable. Multiple people have already tried their hands in making a turn-based tactic roguelike deck builder, and some of them are even fun. However, all of them had one thing I didn't like, and that's how they handle movement. Usually movement is handled in two different ways in the games that are listed. Either they have a bunch of cards dedicated to movement, or they give each unit a free move during its turn. The reason why I don't favor the first approach is because it has the possibility of filling the deck with a bunch of uninteresting cards. It's like if Slay the Spire had a bunch of strike cards, but you need them to always be in your deck. This is arguably a non-issue than the second approach if you can make interesting move cards. The problem with the second approach, that is giving the player a free move each turn, has somewhat of a disconnect with the rest of the game's gameplay language in the game I've listed. Mainly because the movement is given free but not any other action. This is especially the case when looking at it from a turn-based tactic lens, when usually a unit is given a free move and attack during their turn. I think the problem stems from having a single action point type system in most of this game. Controlling unit on the board feels different than playing a card in your hand, and so it feels like you don't have enough action points to do both efficiently. And giving the player enough action point in a one-type action point system is also a tough balancing act, as giving the player too little means that they might spend an entire turn just moving their units, and giving the player too many means that they could cast every card in their disposal. A single type action point system in a card-based game has many benefits, one of which is that the player doesn't lose track of which point they will need to play a card, but it's too limiting for my game. So I added more action point types, that being stamina point, magic point, and potential point. The original idea came from the first Fallout game, but I further refined my idea after looking at Lost in Fantaland. I will talk more about this action point system in another video. Whether or not this new approach of movement is better or worse, that's up to play testing and refinement. For now, know that this action point system is the basis for my game's uniqueness. And that's it on how I initially started with the project. After playing Monster Train, I thought about how to create something like it. Look at a bunch of games, saw something I want to change, then I started experimenting with the idea. I have more things I want to discuss in our little game design talk, but I think that's enough for now. Later down the line, I will touch again on some of the things I said in another video. As this is the first devlog in the series, let me introduce you to Deck Tactics and its gameplay. Deck Tactics is a roguelike deck builder combined with a turn-based tactic RPG game. It follows the 70-30 rules, where 70% of the game is a roguelike deck builder and 30% of it is a turn-based tactic RPG. That 30% is mostly centered around combat. The combat mechanic is the thing that I focused most of my development time on since making the game, which is why the story, art, and music sort of fell behind in terms of being developed at this moment. It's not like I think game mechanic is the most important aspect of a game, but being primarily a programmer, I choose to lean into my strength. Anyway, how does combat work? Combat starts after you pick a destination during the map phase of the game. And once you're in combat, you need to place your hero unit on the board. The hero unit is the centerpiece of your team. They are what summon other units into the board, but more crucially, if they die, then it's game over. The combat screen is divided into two distinct parts, the board, as we mentioned, and the hand. You can think of the board representing the tactics side of the game, while the hand represents the deck builder side. Let's break down the board first. The board is a tiled 9x9 grid. Its small size is a conscious design. This is to make battle feel faster. It's to encourage faster confrontation between units, leading to more offensive tactic needing to survive rather than allowing players to skirt around the play area. In the future, I will add different tile types that will have different effects, but for now they're just this one tile. The individual pieces that stand on those tiles are the units. The units all take turns to move around the board using action points. They also have a basic attack that uses action points along with a basic block. Apart from action points, a unit also has magic points and potential points, and each of the energy points have a different method of generating energy. When all the units have made their move, the next round begins. This is when action point is fully stocked. Magic point, on the other hand, generates slowly each round, while potential point is obtained differently for each unit. For instance, a monk unit might attempt potential points when they meditate. So what is the use of all this energy point? We already explained the use of action point, that is for movement, attack, and blocking. As for magic point, it is primarily used for playing the cards in each unit's deck, while potential point is used for activating a unit's special ability. Note that while magic point is primarily point used for activating card, there are some cards that will require other types of energy. Speaking of cards, let's break down the hand next. Now, the units are not the only one that holds MP. The board also has its own MP called Summoner's Point, or SP, and the board also has its own deck of cards. These cards are drawn at the start of each round and are different than regular cards drawn at each turn of the unit's deck. The difference being the card drawn from the board's deck, called Summoner's card, will also appear in the current hand of the player's active unit, not just the hero unit. The battle ends when all the units on the board is eliminated or the hero unit of the player is killed, and that's pretty much all there is to combat at the moment. The only thing I have yet to start implementation on is the artifact mechanic. So, I'm sure this video is gonna be very long, so thank you everyone who stuck around till the very end. From this point onward, I will talk less about the game in general and focus more on other subjects like this channel or just random developer talk. The first thing I want to touch upon is all of the comments that have been left in my previous video, mainly the ones that are asking if I'll make a tutorial about making a game similar to the ones I'm making right now. And to answer that questions, I do want to make a tutorial at some point in this year, if possible. Maybe not the entire game, because it's still being made, but pieces of it that I know will work. The original idea I had was to release an open source version of the game after I finished making it as a way to give back to the Godot community. But making tutorials seems to be a better idea. Either way, both requires a lot of time and work, and by the time I do get around to doing it, the original commenter who requested help might have long solved their own issue. So the short and sweet answer for these questions of if I'm going to make a tutorial for the things that I'm making is yes. But don't count on it on the next video or even the next one after that. The second thing I want to talk about is the art and story of the game. I want to replace them later. Right now I'm only just putting random bits of art and story into the game as placeholder. I don't know what the end product will actually look like, to be honest. Right now I'm just focusing on the mechanic of the game than anything else. This will mean that the game will look like a hot mess for a while, so I hope people don't judge on it purely on those merits. Finally, I want to thank the people who subscribe, comment, or even just like on my previous video. And I think that it's there for now. Have a great day and see you later.